Absolutely. I think it's a paradigm shift in the way the fashion system has always evolved. And I think being fashion, of course, it still is evolving, but in a very, very different rhythm, a different way. Whereas in the past, we used to have trends, clear-cut, definable trends emerge, maximize themselves, and then go away. And they would work their way through the market. Well, now that doesn't work that way anymore. Now we have influences that stay longer. Trends have legs and evolve and morph. And so we keep adding new trends to the mix, and we end up with a state that we're in now that is a bit confusing for the average consumer, because everything is in fashion at the same time. And it really is up to the marketing people to define fashions for specific consumer groups. So everyone is on a different rhythm, working to a different cycle, but short is in, long is in, bright is in, dark is in, black is out, all at the same time. I think the problem for retailers of any classification and every market level is difficult, because they have to buy wide and shallow. They have to make a broader selection, because each individual consumer now kind of is confident that she or he has their own personal style and their own personal preferences, and they're not as likely to be dictated to anymore. So if the retailer intends to get the consumer's business, they have to have a broader selection of merchandise than they've ever had before, and because of the cost involved, they have a shallower selection. I think the red carpet is a good barometer if you know how to look at it pretty astutely. And last season at the Oscars, I felt I was really seeing a perfect example of this changing paradigm that we're experiencing now, between the period that we're still in, but we have been in, about wealth and luxury and opulence and embellishment and heavily detailed, heavily designed fashion and accessories. And the switch will be a cleaner, simpler, refreshingly different attitude. And on the red carpet we saw, for example, Jessica Chastain was probably the most talked about, and she was wearing an Alexander McQueen black dress with a lot of gold embellishment on it. Absolutely beautiful. But for my money, the most exciting person was Gwyneth Paltrow, who was wearing a simple Tom Ford white column with a simple white cape. So they're both in fashion, and they both looked very fashion right, but they were absolutely opposite sides of the coin. And one side of the coin is now, to my eye anyway, as a forecaster, looking a little bit tired, and the other, simpler side of the coin is looking directional. It's so exciting for fine jewelry, because first of all, I think it's going to take a long time for our collective eye to get used to the simpler thing. So as you invest in simpler clothing, I think you're going to want right now to over-accessorize it with a lot of accessories, because you're going to be sort of compensating for getting used to this new attitude. And then as you move on, I think you're going to want to start replacing some of your accessory pieces with things that look more modern and more contemporary. So it's a wonderful opportunity to maximize what's happening now with new business, and then be prepared to roll that over into the next incoming big change, which will be simpler, maybe heavier pieces that don't have as much ornamentation, but have more of a sculptural feeling to them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the accessory tsunami just is not going to go away, and I think everyone now wants a greater bang for their buck, to be honest with you. And if you have bought a piece of jewelry that no one notices, you may as well have thrown your money away. So I think we have a generation of fashionistas who are very confident and can wear statement pieces, whereas in the past you had to be somebody like Auntie Mame to get away with, a real pizzazz, or like editor Deanna Vreeland. But now every woman understands that, and I think women really enjoy accessorizing themselves today, and I think the simpler clothes are going to provide a great blank canvas for them to decorate with jewelry, handbags, gloves.
Right.
Maybe we'll even see a return to millinery. That's iffy though. I think because we're coming out of slowly but surely a sort of overly ornamental kind of design thrust, and we're used to a lot of visual excitement in everything that we want, whether it's jewelry or fabric or things for our home. It doesn't matter. We want a lot of excitement, and if the ornamentation element is getting calmed down, then we still want the visual excitement, and that comes with high-low dimensional texture. I think we're going to fall in love with texture in the same way that we've been in love with prints and patterns, and I think we're going to want texture upon texture, different textures worn together, whether they're different textured fabrics and different textured metals, and I think even the mixing of cabochon and cut stones will be part of this feeling, because let's be honest, nothing we're talking about is really brand new in terms of the materials, so it's how you put it together that makes it new. I'm not a big fan of black alone and black dominating everything the way it has for a decade. I think the big color story is simply that people are waking up to the excitement of color, and the first introduction to that is brights, and the brights have been very, very successful at retail and are continuing to go forward. But the thing that really makes me enthusiastic about color is that so many people are adding more color to their palettes. So we have dark green as an important color, winter berries as a color story, pastels as a color story, along with the brights, and a little smattering of good old black.
And you mentioned that orange will continue in a huge way.
Orange is just, is still flaming up, literally, and I think it's going to be one of the most important colors. And it's also a great mixer. Most people don't understand that orange mixes with a lot of different colors very successful.
The higher end brands have been doing that for many years,
Yes.
right? Mixing, yes. So is there any, just all of those colors that you mentioned, you think will be key?
Yes, I think people who are just now beginning to find the joy of color back in their lives, and so I think the opportunities for retailers and designers are infinite at the moment in terms of